So let me be very upfront with you. Making a career shift or moving from one place of work to another mid career is not always an easy feat. And so, if you're going to build a long term career, a successful career, you must learn to spend some time in a place to gain some reputation, spend enough time in a place to build a name, to build your proficiency, to gain some successes in the place. But if you need to leave, and there will be times when you will need to move, because honestly, it's a lot slower if you are going to spend your entire career in one organization. It can be a bit slower, but if you are going to have to move, you are not necessarily moving just because you need the speed in your life, but because there are things that necessitate that movement. And the things that necessitate the movement, they are not the things I want to talk about today. I'm here today if you need to move, right? If there is, a reason, there is an upward space that necessitates your movement, something that requires you to shift from one organization to the other or from one career to another. I want to tell you five things. Yeah, I like to put them in that context so that I can also control my own discussion. But there are five things I think you need to do still from this story of Jacob. Okay, I am using Jacob. I think I have said it today. I have said it in this series. I'm using Jacob in the Bible as a case study because he had one of the most difficult careers. And if we can learn from his career, then we can learn from any career. If his career turned out successful, then your own cannot be as difficult as Jacob's own. Do you understand? So I might be making references to other people who had more successful careers, people like Daniel, right? But Jacob had a very tricky one. And so if you can pick out the lessons from his own, then I can tell you that your situation is not that bad. Okay, so I'm going to read again from the Bible. I'm going to read from Genesis chapter 29, but I'm going to read this time around from the easy to read version. Easy to read version, I'm in verse 15. One day Laban said to Jacob, "You are a relative of mine," full stop. Laban said to Jacob, "You are a relative of mine." The message version says, Laban says, "You are family." Okay, you are family, apostrophe. Okay, New King James Version will tell you, then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my relative," and there is a comma because that sentence is not complete. But I'm dwelling on the fact that Jacob found his relatives, and this cannot be overemphasized. When you get into a new organization, you need to find the people that you speak the same language with. I am not talking about your Igbo or Yoruba or whatever. I mean, in terms of work ethic, in terms of values, in terms of beliefs. I believe that in an organization that is so big, there are people who are there to play. There are people whose fathers are billionaires and who have assets waiting for them, who don't care about the day-to-day grind. By their speech, you will know them. So when you are going in the first few weeks, you need to find somebody that you vibe with. You need to find somebody that has the same work ethic, somebody who is there to excel just like you, somebody who is there to be the best just like you. There has to be somebody close enough that you can vibe with. And the first thing I want to say, because this is an intro, the first thing I want to say is understand the language of that industry. You may be coming from a legal aspect, you may be coming from an IT aspect. If the organization is primarily a legal firm, start learning the lingo. In fact, learn the lingo before you get into the organization. At the interview stage, you must be speaking to them in terms of lingo. In terms of the language they understand, you have to learn how to use language, understand what it means, and speak to them as a professional, such that by the time you are done discussing with them, the people that matter are saying, "We are related. We know each other. We are speaking the same language." If you are coming in as an operations person, you need to understand the terms. You need to use the language, talk about things in terms of a seamless experience, of an optimized outcome. Talk about things like management of the facility. Don't say I clean. Okay, talk about things like wait time reductions if you're talking about it in a healthcare setting. Everything you are saying should not just be said in plain English. It's not hard to learn, right? Just go and read up material. But by the time you show up on the scene, the first group of people you are associating with, you want to show by virtue of speech that I speak this. I understand what you mean when you say this. I understand where we are going to with this. And you know what? I can make it happen. So, number one, understand the language. I heard it somewhere say, speak the language of the villagers. Right? When you get into a village, speak the language of the villagers. Don't talk like an outsider. Don't talk like a visitor. Speak like you were from this place, just that you traveled and now you are back. Number two, tell your story. Use your own words. Paint your identity. You see this thing where you are coming to a new place and you are not known. Everything that people get to know about you is from what you say. So what do you say? Every time you come late, every time you make a mistake, every time you submit something incomplete, you make an error, you are telling your story. So the first few weeks in an organization, you must be above and beyond board. You must be telling your story using your own words. The only thing we want to see is good foot forward. You don't get to, oh, we started off on a bad foot. You don't get to bring out another foot. So intentionally put your good foot forward. This has to be, initially you will have to let down your guards. You can't hold your breath forever. But for the first 2 to 3 weeks, for the first 3 months, it's on you to paint a picture that leaves you with people saying, that person has something we can work with. That's the time to do it. Okay, so that's number two. And I'm not just talking about doing this in your organization. As you grow, leave footprint. Do you understand? Document. Blog if you need to. Have an outlet, a space that allows you outline your story and the growth that you are experiencing as you are going. Remember, you are the entity. You are the one partnering. You yourself are a platform. And so you must learn how to paint that platform that people want to be associated with it. What Jacob did was he told a story. He told Rachel, look how I'm related to you. And the Bible says he told her all that had happened. And when Jacob went to Laban, he told him all that had happened. Okay, and so you must have the things that lead. And in your own story, you can't be a villain. It's not even possible. I mean, yes, you may want to own your faults, but in that story, when I'm done hearing that story, you must come out as the central point of that story. Number three, start telling your story from your peers. If you walk up to somebody senior and you start talking about yourself, you're already doing it wrong. Okay, when you are sitting with your superiors, you are listening. For most of the time, you are listening, you are trying to understand. When you are with your peers, you are also listening, but it is there you first have the opportunity of telling about yourself. Most times, you will have the opportunity to relate horizontally first before you relate vertically. You don't start out by relating vertically. Okay, even when what's his name, David got to the battlefront and said, oh, I can kill this guy, he started talking with the guys on the ground, with the soldiers on the ground. He talked until somebody said to Saul, there is this guy here talking. They brought him to Saul. And when Joseph had to get to prison, he had to talk with the guys in the prison first. Somebody had to refer him. It's always going to be that the opportunities to relate to your peers will come first. So you have to impress them first. It is they that will take you to your superiors. It is they that will recommend you to superiors. In some rare occasions, it happens that you get the attention of a superior first. When the background check is done, it is important that your peers have something good going on. Okay. Number 4 is what I have come to know as a T-shaped mentality. It will shock you to know that when Jacob was in his parents' house, he was not a shepherd. He was not going to farm. In fact, the Bible said somewhere that Jacob was a quiet man. He liked to stay at home. Esau was a hunter. And so when the father loved Esau because Esau was always out there, bringing food home. Jacob was a quiet guy. And so how did Jacob learn how to be a shepherd boy? Yes, he spent some time in Laban's house, but the very first time he saw Rachel by the well, Jacob was able to do something for Rachel. Remember, Jacob rolled away the stone. The very first time you show up, even if what is being done at the first time you show up is not something related to what you used to do, by virtue of the fact that wherever you are, there is a bridge between you and other departments. You are involved in cross training. Even if you are in finance, you have an idea of what operations is about. Even if you are in operations, you have an idea of what sales is about. When you get in, you have the ability to move across, even if it's in the same industry. And finally, the fifth one is learn how to make an offer. Craft an offer. Understand what it is you do, the solution that you can provide. You see, when they say all these things about, oh, I help so people, I help them solve this kind of problems, don't overlook that and say all these things that they are saying. Okay, that's someone trying to simplify the concept of making an offer, but you have to understand what solutions you bring. You have to rehash what solutions you bring. And why I say you may start from there. You may start from learning how to craft the languages. That is just the starting point. But you have to learn it to the point where you are able to be a solution to a problem once you present yourself. Once you see a problem somewhere, just solve it. I don't know if it has happened to you, but those days when people wanted to get a nanny or something like that, there will be some people who will come for an interview, see a child crying, take care of the child right there and then. Do you know that they have solved the problem? All the other questions you want to ask them is maybe background stories, but they have in one moment showed proficiency. You must learn how to see problems and how to get into the space, solve a problem without being obnoxious. Jacob got to the well, and even before Rachel showed up, he was asking, why is this well shut? Why are you guys not, allowing the sheep drink and go back to feeding the sheep before the end of the day? And even though the answer they gave him suggested that it was not yet time for the well to be opened, the moment Rachel showed up, the first thing Jacob did was to go open the well and feed the flock that Jacob brought. That is an interview checked and delivered right there. So when you get to a space, notice things, observe things, but more importantly, as you are observing things, start seeing how you are the person who gets to roll away the stone. Start seeing how you are the solution provider. The first thing that gets you noticed is being a problem solver. I'm going to spend another video talking about visibility because it is not what we think it is. But right now, suffice it to say that your best introduction is one that introduces you as someone who brings the solution, not talking about it, but brings the solution, a solution that can easily be implemented, something that can easily be done. That's your best introduction. You may not always get the opportunity to do that at an interview, but trust me, your first 3 months is always an interview. It's an ongoing interview. Most people, especially when you are employed at a higher level, they are looking at you in the first 3 to 6 months to confirm, did I make a good choice? Was I deceived by her looks? So at that time, you are looking for low-hanging fruits, things that you can easily, a solution that can easily be seen, not the one that we'll see in 3 to 6 months' time. Okay? So you have to know that this is an offer and not just ability to say, oh, I am an operations expert. No. There's always a biting problem. There's always an obstacle. You must be the one that sees it first and you must go and solve it. Okay, so those are the 5 things. The first thing I said is learn the language of the villagers. Tell your story. Know your story. Tell your story. Be the hero in your own story. Start from your peers. Convince, impress your peers, have a T-shaped mentality. 5, understand what an offer is and when to make an offer. I'm going to rest this one about finding your relatives in this video so that I can pick up other ones. But I have looked through my own life and I am able to pick out some instances where this happened well and some instances where I could have done better, right? And it is consistent. It is consistent. The reason I stick to the word of God is that I don't get to tell you that this is what I did because what have I done? But I am able to tell you that this is a workable template that you can apply and be assured of the results. Thank you if you watched this moment. Well, bye-bye for now.